You're probably saving and investing a very healthy amount. Maybe you've maxed out your 401k, which for this year, if you're over age 50, is $30,000. That's excluding any employer match, of course. The reality is a lot of you are saving and investing beyond that. Now, maybe you have an after-tax contribution option at your employer. Maybe you're doing a Roth IRA in addition to that if you're below the income limit, which, by the way, for a lot of you, you're not eligible to. You make too much money. So what I want you to think through is what other options are out there, and it's called a brokerage account. It's also called a taxable account. It's also called an individual account. It's also called a joint account, and they use all these different terms because they want to make it as confusing as possible. Just kidding, that's not why they do it, but it seems that way. And I want to make sure that when we're looking at an early retirement, we're looking at every possible option. Now, within that account, I need you to invest really intentionally, because this brokerage account, you're not going to want to invest like all your other accounts, not like your IRA or Roth IRA. This is the account we're going to want to use first in an early retirement, and I'm going to tell you why in today's video. By the end of today's video, you're going to have a very clear sense on how you should invest any extra funds that you have going above and beyond the 401k level, and where should you put them, and really how you should invest them. So once again, my name is Ari. I am a financial planner, and I love helping people retire early. That's all I do. I want to optimize your finances so that you don't look back going, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done some of these things a little differently. If the following resonate with you, paying less taxes, no more than you need to, investing better, and having a general confidence that shows that you are optimizing your finances, please do subscribe for more tips just like this. We are going to look at an example in just a second because I think it's the best way to learn. But let's assume that you have a 401k right now. Okay, you're 60 years old, you have a healthy portfolio balance, and you're saving a very healthy amount. But you're maxing out your 401k and you still find there's some left over every month. Now, a lot of you, it's Ari that's going to a remodel, Ari that's going to future travel, Ari that's going to my emergency fund. Wonderful. Some of you don't have any extra dollars, in which case this video is really not for you. I'm only making content that I think is ultra effective for you. And sometimes this video won't be right for you. Other times it's, hey, this is kind of what exactly I've been looking for. So I try to dial this in as effectively as possible. But when you guys want to retire early, you need income sources. And the reality is you have a tremendous opportunity if you can use a brokerage account or cash to live on in the first few years of an early retirement, because you can do really effective tax planning. If you're a client of mine, you already know my dopey jokes, but if you're not, you've probably heard this one. I'm all about being patriotic, just not to the point you pay more in taxes than you need to. I did a video a few weeks back, actually a few months back now. Do you need to save more? That's the reality. When should you stop saving for retirement? Because if you have $1 million right now and you get a 10% rate of return, that's $100,000. If you have $10,000, you get a 10% rate of return, that's $1,000. It's a whole lot more important right now to be invested well, not to make sure that you're just always adding new dollars. That's not my feedback when you're early on in your career. The best thing you can do is add more dollars. I'm less concerned about the exact rate of return, but I need to make sure your plan is dialed in. So number one is, if you have enough money between 401ks and IRAs and Roth and brokerage, number one is, do you need to save more? And if you don't, because your plan shows that you can do what you want to do, which, by the way, that's the hard part, is finding out what you're going to spend your time doing in retirement. Is it going to be fulfilling, and is it enough? The reality is, once you determine, yep, I want to spend this amount, I want to travel to this degree, I can't wait to prioritize this, then wonderful. If you don't need to save more, then please go spend it. It's weird feedback, I know, but if you know you're going to be in a great spot, the reality is I don't want you to look back and sacrifice some things today if money can add quality of life. Of course, money can't always do that, but to some degrees it can. And if it can, I'd rather you go use those funds today as opposed to just having another $100,000 or $1 million at the end when you could really use those now. That could be helping a child out with a down payment. It could be funding a wedding, you name it. But let's look at an example of 3 people, and I'm going to look down at my screen here so you can better understand what I'm looking at. And I'll put the numbers right here. 3 people, age 55, they all want to retire at age 65, okay? Hypothetical, of course, but let's just determine that they all need $1 million to be able to retire at age 65. We're also going to assume they're all saving $30,000 a year to max out a 401k, and the next 10 years, we're just going to put a growth rate of 6%. Person 1, they have $800,000 saved for retirement. Person 2, they have $350,000 saved for retirement. And person 3, they have $0 saved for retirement. These are the 3 examples we're going to look at. Who needs to save what amount? Person 1, they have $800,000, and that would grow to $1.43 million in 10 years with no contributions, okay? $1.83 million with contribution. Where should they save the extra money? As I said at the beginning, maybe they shouldn't. You can see they're projected, they need $1 million, as we said hypothetically, to be able to do what they want to do. They're projected to grow to $1.43 million if they do nothing at all and just get that 6% growth. If they do add dollars, it adds, you can see $400,000, but it's not necessary. maybe they should spend it. In this example, I don't like to give up free money, so I would probably say get the most from your employer, get that free money, that employer match, and probably don't save more than that. Now, it's never bad to save more, but some people go, Ari, how do I optimize my plan? Here's how you do it on paper. Keep saving, keep investing, don't do anything fun. Your plan on paper will look awesome. That's not the goal for most people. The goal for most people is how can you make sure that you're living a life that you're really excited about, not just one that looks good on paper. And don't try to ever hit that target, because hitting that exact target, one, it feels impossible, but two, it's really not inspirational. It doesn't make you feel like you're going towards this target, because there's never a target. You know why? There's always going to be someone with more, and don't compare yourself to those people. Person two, they have $350,000 and they're maxing out at $30,000 a year, growing to $1 million, technically $1,022,000, but let's say $1 million. So should they save more? Yeah, maybe not more than that I just mentioned, maybe not more than maxing out their 401k, but that would put them in a good spot where if they do that, they will have that $1 million if they, once again, do that for the next 10 years. Now, person three here, they have $0. They save $30,000 a year, get 6% growth. It grows to about $400,000. They need to save more. If they want $1 million, if that's what they determine they need to get to, the reality is they need to save $76,000 a year, not just 30 to be able to meet that $1 million goal. So why do I give you these examples? Number one, understand how much you need to save. Maybe you don't need to save a whole bunch more, but that 401k example I just gave you, that's great if we're going to retire, call it at around age 60, because at 59 and a half, that's when you can tap into these accounts without penalties and taxes and things like that. A brokerage account, if you're going, all right, I've got extra funds today, what do I do with it? We want to put that into a brokerage account, because if you say, Ari, I'm not losing quality of life, I'm still taking trips and doing what I want to do, that brokerage account is going to allow for flexibility. You don't have to wait until 59 and a half if you want to retire early, and it will allow you to take out that account and maybe even pay 0% taxes on that in the future. I did a separate video on what's called tax gain harvesting, and you can see that on my channel as well. Before we even talk about that brokerage account example, here's a few things I don't want you to overlook. Number one is an HSA, health savings account. You get a tax deduction and it comes out completely tax-free in the future if you use it for healthcare purposes. So it can be like a triple tax win. Grows tax deferred, deduction at the beginning, tax-free at the end. However, the maximum is $3,850 if you're single, $7,750 if you're a couple. If you're over 55, don't forget you can put an extra $1,000 in. Roth IRA limit is $6,500 a year, and that is separate from your 401k. So hypothetical here, you can put $30,000 into your Roth 401k if you are over age 50, and your Roth IRA gets $6,500 plus the $1,000 catch-up. So technically, you could put $7,500 into your Roth IRA, assuming you're below the income limit, and you can put $30,000 into your Roth 401k. Many people think it's one or the other. It's not. If you're single and make over $138,000, you cannot do the Roth IRA. You make too much money. You can contribute a partial amount, but only up till about $153,000. If you're married filing jointly, you start to phase out at $218,000, and you fully phase out at $228,000 if you're a couple. Lots of fancy rules to this and backdoor Roths that I'll save for another video. After-tax contributions to your 401k are often available, and that can be an interesting option. You get no tax deduction for doing the contribution. Any money that you contribute, that goes into your Roth IRA. So you contribute it, you get no deduction, that will move to your Roth IRA. Any growth, that will go to your IRA. So contributions, you get to take out, and that will move to your Roth IRA. Any growth on those earnings, that will go to your IRA. Pro tip, if you can immediately convert those after-tax contributions to your Roth, you're going to thank yourself later. Just a few more pro tips here, and then I promise I'm going to summarize this for you. If this has been helpful already, please do like this video and share this video with someone you want to retire early with. But now to the brokerage account. This is the magical account that for so many people, they want to retire early, because if you use this account well at age 55 and you determine you want to retire early, your income is very low, you can use a brokerage account and oftentimes pay 0% taxes. Or you can say, I'm going to use this income to live off of to keep my income low, to do things like Roth conversions that I talk about in my other videos and on my podcast. Sometimes my feedback really is spend. You're in a great spot. I really don't want to see you save anymore, which I know sounds really weird coming from a retirement planner, but sometimes that is my feedback. Other times it's, hey, we need to save X amount. Other times we have to work X amount. But get clear on what you want to do. And if you have that brokerage account and you go, all right, I've got extra amount, $500 a month, $1,000 a month? Do you do a Roth IRA? Do you do an HSA? Or do you put it to a brokerage account? And I don't like to invest that like your Roth IRA. It's crazy for growth. We're going to be living on that. So if you're going to use those funds the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we might want a portion in some really safe assets like a CD or cash, but we also might want a portion of that in some fixed income. Not tremendous fixed income, but maybe some inflation protected securities, maybe a little bit of certain bonds with low duration, maybe some income that we're going to use in 3, 4, 5 years that we want to get a little growth on that, but not tremendous volatility. So those are my pro tips when it comes to an early retirement, how to think through it with if you know that you are maxing out your 401k and you say, all right, I've got extra, we could put it to a brokerage account. We could use an HSA. Maybe you have an ESPP at work. Maybe there's all these other different things we can talk about, but I want to just use it super simple more often than not. Put it in a brokerage account if you know you're not going to use it, or just go spend it. You deserve it. You've done a good job. You're in a great spot. If you do want to optimize your financial plan and make sure that you are not leaving anything on the table, that's what I help people to do. So look in my description of this video and you will see a link where you can optimize your money by working with me. Thank you guys. See you next time.